time today, and they can listen in later. Hello, everyone. This is Madhumita. I'm a product lead at StarTree. It's a Bay Area company, an early stage startup in real time analytics. And today I have Nick with me. He's a senior product manager at Google. And we will be talking about tips and frameworks to land in a product role. Nick and I have shared some time. I think our common ground was PayPal. And I'm very excited to talk to him and find his journey. Before I get started, some of the logistics I would like to share. If any of you have question or your perspectives to share, do raise your hand and I'll invite you to the stage and you can unmute yourself and ask questions. I do have a set of questions which I would like to go through. However, I'll pause in between, or there is any pressing question that you can hold, then definitely raise your hand and I'll invite you to the stage and we can get started. With that, welcome everyone, and I hope you make this session super interactive and engaging. So, with that, I'll open up the floor for Nick. Nick, can you introduce yourself and tell us about your career journey, some of the tips that helped you with your career success, and what do you do when you are not working?
Okay, sure. First, thanks, Madhumita, for inviting me to be here. Really pleasure to be here. And also, hello, everyone. I'm Nicholas. I currently work at Google as the PM for their query engine. And let's start from a little bit more about myself. So, long story in short, I have a mixed background of being engineer, being data scientist, and also now PM. And I have, starting my education, I have math degree in college, and later decide, if you are familiar with math, it's hard to, make you a living through math. So that's the reason why I switched to study CS in my graduate degree. And it's a very straightforward path. After graduation, I become the semiconductor engineer in Taiwan. And then later decide, okay, I really want to work on more software side of the world, not the hardware side. So I switched to Taiwan Yahoo as a software engineer. And back at the time, that's really the moment, my aha moment to start the inspiration of being a PM, because I work with my PM really a lot. I also learn a lot from him. So I start to think, okay, whether maybe maybe I want to try something slightly different. That's the moment I, make a decision, come to US, start to study my business degree. And luckily, during summer internship and after graduation, I got an offer from Facebook as a data scientist. Stay a couple of years, think that, okay, it's about time I have enough knowledge and also experience. I really want to try out the product manager role. So I switched to Visa as the data platform PM, and later PayPal as the machine learning PM, and finally land here. So this is the career path I had. I believe lots of people have similar experience, starting from more hard skill engineering side and end up with landing on the PM side. And, any tips and takeaways coming from this career path is that I think that everyone has this superpower that you can do any type of job well. So in the end of the day, it's really your interest and how you package your story, right? Because if you can find a very compelling way to describe why you want to switch your role from, for example, from being an engineer to become a more machine learning oriented data science role, if you can find your interest and your strengths to convince whether you're interviewer or your future company that that's the way you successfully land to the next job. And the same apply to, if you want to move from other roles into PM role, it's similar. So this is really something that I feel which is very important. Everyone do have that component out there. You just need to find it. And, in my normal time, what did I do? So now I have kids, so it's a little bit hard for me to do the same. But before I have kids, I actually very proactively participate in different type of meetup or conference, this type of events, because I really like to meet people from different from the same domain that I never met before. That's the way I try to collect the most up-to-date information. So that's really something that I encourage everyone to do if you have bandwidth. Now it's a little bit harder for me, but I still trying to do as much as I can. Yeah, thanks.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing your journey, and very interesting to know what you used to do when you were not working. And in terms of career journey, well said. I think I've not exactly the same path, but I was a TPM at LinkedIn, and then I switched to senior product manager at PayPal. Now I'm product lead at a startup, and pretty much took the similar path, like where I was part of data platform team, and then data science, and then at PayPal at data analytics PM, and then now I'm anomaly detection PM. So I guess everyone has their unique journey. I think many people I know I work with, they are also coming from business background. They need not be tech, and they are more business focused PMs. And I think there are different career paths that people can take to land in a product management job. So, with that, my next question to you is, what is it like to be a product manager at Google?
Yeah, sure. I think in general, the expectation for PMs are at Google is the same as pretty much any other companies. You always expect to be the mix of the thought leader of business technology and also design, right? In many cases, it's I think down to the role. It's really your daily life will be you need to communicate with lots with the engineers, with end users, with your customers. So I think I would like to put two more perspective here that can really help you think how does it look like as a PM, especially at Google. I think the first important component is communication. Uh, Google now is probably 100,000 employee company. There are so many organizations, teams, and products here and there. There might be something doing something similar or maybe correlated to what you need to do or what you are doing. So communication is very important that you need to always trying to talk to new person, trying to learn new things, and trying to not rebuilding any wheel if you can save some time, some of your time, and save some of your resources. And plus, remember that the person working with you could be 10 years, 20 years experience at Google and who has PhD in computer science in the past. So really the communication is key. It's just because you need to adjust yourself when you talk to different people. And the second additional component is about analytics. Nowadays, as a PM, when you make a decision, it's always data driven, right? Insight driven. So not necessarily say that hey, you need to super familiar with for example how to write a SQL query or something like that to do the analytics, but at least the viewpoint you mentioned or when you describe your story, it's always good to have some numbers to back up, and you need to be able to describe it clearly. I think these are the two extra things that I want to bring up.
Great. I think those are insightful. I'll pause here and see if from audience anybody has any questions or perspectives to share. Please raise your hand and I will invite you to the stage and you can unmute yourself and talk. Okay, seems like nobody is raising hand. It's a quiet audience. No worries. I'll move on to my next question. Oh, I do see somebody has raised hand. Okay, let me invite you to stage. Yeah, Sriya, I invited you to the stage. You can unmute yourself and talk.
Hi. First of all, thank you so much for organizing this. The question I had was many people, basically, whenever we talk about the product roles at Google, it is usually about, what is the day like for a product manager at Google. I wanted to know, during the interview stage, once you are in the interview stage, it is all about how you present yourself and your work, right? But before that, are there any do you guys have any, you know, actionable insights on how you can get to that particular stage of getting an interview? Like there is getting a referral for a particular role, or maybe applying for the APM roles whenever the season is up. So what tips do you have for, you know, because there is a very less chance for people to get to the interview stage. So any tips for that? So that was the question.
Okay, sure. Thanks for asking the question. So overall, let me summarize the question. So basically, if there is any from my side, if there is any experience or any tips about getting into the interview process, right? I think again, my case might be slightly different, but I still want to promote some of the some of the very useful tips. Maybe not useful for me, but it's useful in general. I think the first one is really the networking and the connection is really important, right? That can bring you a lot of the advantage. The first one is always with, for example, now I know the Google's hiring process changed a bit, because back at the time when I just got hired, it's still the general hiring process, meaning most of PMs get into the pipeline of interview and get the same type of interview, and finally, once you clean up the bar, you get into the team match. I think now it's become more like just in time hiring, meaning there are only specific openings for specific teams, products, roles.
Right.
But again, even though someone working internally, you still get to know the most current openings, and also what type of person that they are looking for, right? Because they are the person has the most up to date information, and plus, as far as I'm concerned, for most of the companies, internal referral always have higher chance to making sure your in the resumes will be seen by the recruiters. So I think that's certainly very useful. And other than that, I think when you're trying to do the recruiting, it's not only just getting interviews. It's also the trying to make sure your resume being seen. I think in the end of the day, the mindset is that you need to see yourself as your product, right? How you are going to package yourself, making sure because every company or every team have slightly different focus. So, for example, a fintech company may want to look at your past experience in this industry versus customer-facing heavy PMs or companies. They may be looking for someone has UX design experience, right? So, how you make sure the information, because everyone only have one at the most 2 pages of space to put in your resume. How to making sure the things you put in your resume are most relevant to the recruiter and to the hiring manager is the most important thing during the resume building process. And that's the same idea applied to when you really got an interview. The answers you package sent to the interviewers is the same, because you only have 30 to 45 minutes and 1 hour at most for each interviewer. What are the information you really want to repeat and want to deliver, making sure the person listen to you, get the same message is the most important goal. Yeah. So I think that's the 2 quick tips that I would like to emphasize. I know lots of people talking about this, but still, I think that these 2 are the most critical things that can help all the candidates the most.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just wanted to add few more points. Great points, Nick. I mean, based on my experience, of course, I never worked at Google, but been got interview calls. So I think there are a couple of ways you could do that, Shreya. Like if you're early stage, I think showcasing your work is very important. If you have done some kind of case study or so, that is very handy. And then, as Nick said, like resume is important. Third thing, in addition to networking, I mean, for me, definitely networking helped. Like there were somebody I had worked in the past, and they went to Google and they referred, especially with just-in-time hiring. Right now, of course, I'm not looking for a change. However, that is a path that is definitely works quicker, because then you will be immediately placed in the interview loop. The other one is also connecting with Google recruiters, product recruiters. So there are a bunch of them, and based on the job roles you're interested in, you can look up in LinkedIn and then introduce yourself, and then they're usually very helpful. Share your work, and then be in touch. There may be a role that may be suitable for your background or may not be, but if it comes up in future, usually I've seen they're very helpful, and they'll definitely work with you to place you in a interview loop.
Okay, got it. Just a quick follow up. I mean, the tips you guys gave were very good. Although I'm a very early stage graduate, you could say. I graduated just a few months back in 2022. And there is a myth, I guess, that people who have certain years of experience are usually have a higher edge of getting more product interviews, right? So I'll just tell you the process that I'm following right now is basically I cold email people with, let's suppose I am applying at a particular startup. I research on the startup, I build a deck of how I could help, focusing more on the startup, and then I send it to the product manager at that particular startup. So, I mean, is this a waiting game, more of a waiting game? Because I'm not getting back many responses. So, is this the right way, or should I change, or should I just keep doing this, or any tips there?
I can share some of my thoughts, and I believe Madhumita also have her opinion, so you can listen to both. I think the first one is that when you talk regarding process, I think I appreciate this process because there are actually limited candidates who are willing to do so. So I believe this in some cases can help you to differentiate yourself. But when you talk about startup situation, I feel like it's a little bit more mixed because it really depends on how different startups organize their interview process. Let me give you some example, right? Because this time when I got an interview call from Google, I decided to I should try to apply a few other companies just to making sure my mindset, my status is ready. So I also
Right.
try to get out some few other interviews. One is from a very kind of fund. I think they are in C or D series fund startup company. They actually have super fixed interview process like Google and Meta. They have because the managers, the directors of that startup actually coming from Google, and they have also a few folks coming from Meta. So they organize their interview process super close to these two companies and super fixed. It's always product design, product execution, product strategy, the analytics, this type of things, let's say. So because my past experience when I interview startups, they usually, more flex about the interview process. But this is one trending that I noticed even at the moment, just because, PM interview process has become more and more familiar and popular for many other companies. Some of the startups start to adopt those, very fixed format interview process. So I believe it will become more case by case. I believe there are still some startups, they are looking for more proactive candidates. They are hoping you to share some of this deck or insights to their business model or something like that. But again, it's better to have some insider that you can understand. Okay, what's their process really looks like, and what kind of the candidates or attitudes that they are really looking for.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, I echo with that. Given I'm at a startup, I think based on the stage of the startup, like if it is very early stage, then it's pretty much like they are hiring PMs who can run the show on by themselves. They don't need any mentoring or help. And at that time, they're looking for somebody experienced. But again, it can vary. in terms of like if you can look for roles where they are hiring like junior PMs or interns, especially not so much in the tech side, then maybe there is a chance for you to enter. But that kind of opportunities are very limited. So to keep looking for, but hyper growth startups maybe they are like looking for more resources and they have an appetite to take risk with junior candidates. They can probably look for. So I think your approach of cold calling and trying continue doing that. I mean, one place or other might click, and also networking is important. Like if somebody know you and they want to bet on you, then that's another way to go for. Okay, I see
So,
two hands are raised. So I saw Sandeep had raised first. So I will, Sandeep, I'll invite you first. You go ahead and unmute yourself and ask question. Then Srinivas, I will invite you.
hey, thanks, Madhumita. Hey, Madhumita and Yungyu. So I'm coming from a DevOps background slash SRE. So in my current and previous role, I generally work with like product managers, engineering managers, and then gather the requirements and make sure like I deliver those the end users benefit. My question is like coming from this background, how does it how can I land into the product team or maybe like either do we have any opportunities in the DevOps side in the product like maybe like product manager for DevOps or maybe like a full-fledged product owner where you develop things. That was my question.
Okay, sure. I think we can conclude this question into more like how to leverage, the past experience to land to PM job, right? And I can use my background as an example. And just like Madhumita mentioned, I think she also have kind of a little bit similar background as well. So I think we both are a good example. So overall, when you take a look at my past career path, you can notice I have one very specific focus, which is data. Because although I starting from semiconductor engineering domain, which is totally not relevant, but ever since I switched to my second job, which is the product engineer at Yahoo, later second half of my career there is actually data engineer. I start to find data is really something that I am super interested. I want to keep invest myself in this domain. So, although I am doing totally quite different things, starting from being a data engineer and later, data scientist, and later, being the data platform or machine learning PM, it's always around one centric topic, which is data. So go back to your situation, right? There are still lots of the DevOps related products, I believe. There are vendors solutions. There are, and for the bigger company, like for example, Google or Meta, or Amazon. There are also lots of the DevOps related products that if you want to maximize your chance to get into the PM role, that could be one possibility that you can think of. And because that's very unique domain, require people ever being working on those things before, right? If you are looking for another person like PM, only have maybe design background, it will be super hard for them to jump into this position just because of the complexity of DevOps. Versus, although you may not have PM experience in the past, but because you are so familiar with the process, you can start to help contribute your viewpoint. Oh, actually, as a DevOps engineer, what can really save my time and make my daily life easier? And slowly change your position to, I used to start think of things from the engineering perspective. What does that mean from the product perspective? How can I make it more automation? How can I make it more easy to use? How can I make it more easy to assess? You slightly change your mindset to become more product driven, then that can really help you get into whenever you got a chance to have a conversation, it could really help you to make this happen.
Thanks, Nick. I don't have much to add. Just with interest of time, we have 5 minutes. So, Sandeep, any other final thoughts, or I?
No, that's it. Thanks a lot, Yungyu. I'm just like, is there any coursework or material where we can start like training?
You mean, for example, getting the knowledge about the PM in
Yeah.
general? Oh, I think the online education is a good place to start. I recommend a few things. The first one is online education, right? Like Coursera or something else, LinkedIn Learning. Those are really great. I strongly recommend the very first class or education you get. Try to find in-person things. So, for example, myself, although I have quite a bit of communication with PMs in the past, I still trying to find like, for example, in Bay Area, there's something called PM School. I trying to just get into the in-person class first to start with, and just trying to talk to the coach, the instructors in person. And once I get the better sense about how I should start get myself ready, then all the online classes or the blogs or videos on YouTube or something like that can just naturally accumulate my knowledge, and I don't have to worry about I need to go to any in-person class anymore. So yeah, that's just my recommendation.
I just wanted to add few
Thank you.
more things to that that might be useful, because we have two types of audience, like who are experienced, who are technical and non-technical, and few people are starting fresh. So I think, with if I had to map the journey of your like learning about product management and then finding a job, like there are different things you could do. First is, as Nick said, I also went to product school to begin with, and then that was super helpful. I think the instructors are very helpful, and in fact, after product school, I had three offers. So you can definitely, if you invest, you can definitely get into that. The second thing is, product school teaches you the basics or fundamentals of product, right? And if you're early stage, it works well. But if you're experienced and want to gain more and then land in a better jobs, like say Amazon, Facebook, or Google, I've seen people taking different paths. Like for example, you can do much advanced courses at Berkeley. Has they give a very nice course which is called Product Management Studio. I happen to take that, however won't recommend to do that for first time. Something like product school and then doing Product Management Studio will be very helpful. And then once you're ready, I think there are a bunch of like interview preparation courses are there. They're like Try Exponent is one of them. And if you're trying for technical product role, then I guess Interview Kickstart highly recommend. Since you are DevOps background, it will be tremendously helpful. And their teaching and coaching style is really good to transform your career.
Perfect. Thanks a lot. That's very useful information. Thank you.
I think we are very close to the time. Sorry, Srinivas, I probably won't be able to take your question. You can always reach out to Nick on LinkedIn and ask your question. I just wanted to wrap up with a main question that we could not get to, which is, Nick, like if you can share some of the tips and framework one can use to land a product role at Google. And then with that, hopefully we'll be able to wrap up, and we may run few minutes late, but hope that's fine with you.
Yeah, thanks. I'm totally fine. I still have time, so that's great. And I think how to land a job again. I think I would like to mention a few things here. The first one is that even though I will starting from even before getting resume being screened or getting applied, even before you are not looking for a new job at the moment, trying to upgrade or refresh your LinkedIn like every once a year or twice a year. Because in my situation, actually, in previous conversation, I mentioned that the internal referral really helps. I do have some experience that my previous colleagues trying to help me referral because they think they want to work with me again. But the current my real job, meaning the real job switch, the new job, most of them are actually not through referral. It's pretty much either just application or recruiter reach out. So I want to emphasize and also align with And what Madhumita mentioned, the recruiters are friendly. That's true, especially for, for example, my experience, Google, Meta, and PayPal. They are super friendly. They are super proactive. They will find you if they think you are, the right candidate. So try to refresh those information. Your job for the first step is try to refresh those information as much as possible. So every once a year or twice a year, refresh your LinkedIn. And then once you get the reach out, for example, or you apply, right? Try to make sure the resumes has a certain customization for the company if you really want to work for that company, based on the industry, based on the company, based on the role. Every company has slightly different, everyone talking about company culture, right? There are certain key terms that will be it will become, whenever hiring manager or recruiters saw those key terms, they will think, okay, maybe this person is good fit, right? It's not really quantitative measurement, but it's just the distinct that people will have. So trying to read the company website and trying to see what are the most popular key terms, or whether it's company culture or whether it's a special skills, and trying to add those key terms into the resume. That can help your chance to be viewed and help your chance to be let's pass to the hiring manager. And the next phase is about interview. Trying to, unfortunately, in the past, we always talking about engineers. If they want to get into big company, they need to do a lead code. Unfortunately, that becomes the situation for PMs as well, especially for big company. If you want to making sure your opportunity to get hired as high as possible for like Amazon, Google, Meta, Apple, you certainly need to do some practice, right? There are lots of like interview question framework available. I'm not saying that you need to just use the framework. Framework is a tool to help you make your thought process smooth when you have a conversation. So trying to read those articles that can help you, and also trying to get some mock interviews. People are not machines, so we always get nervous. It doesn't matter how senior you are. So the mock interviews is just trying to help you, have your answer to be more smooth in any time, especially right before getting interviews. And lastly, it's everything about, if you are lucky enough, you get multiple offers, how you evaluate the offers and trying to negotiate with the recruiters. That's probably not the focus of this session, but there is always some space that you can also learn and refresh your knowledge out there. So I am stopping here in case any specific question.
Awesome, Nick. Thanks for sharing. I think you talked about the interviewing process, right? And you gave some tips around framework, but framework is just a means of your thought process. But what is the key thing that you focused on, while you were appearing for the interview, and what was challenging and what was easy, and what preparation that you did to handle those challenging situation better?
Yeah, sure. I think Madhumita, I think this align with you mentioned the PN school give us some foundations, right? I think that also apply to my situation. When I participate in PN school, I think the two most important value I got is, first, it helped me to understand some insider's thought as a PN from instructors about their daily life. How does it look like? The second is they also teach the most foundation, some frameworks about how, when you get interviews, how you should go through the thought process with your interviewer. What's the most efficient way that you can deliver your message to the interviewers? I think that's a good foundation. So that's the first part. You certainly need to have some foundation to start with that can help you. Get the process more efficient. The second is, mock-up interviews I mentioned. It's really helpful because if you don't practice, whatever happens is that, okay, you need to think the framework or some key components first whenever you talk to your interviewer, and that won't work, right? It's totally fine if you say, hey, please give me 10 seconds or 20 or 30 seconds to think through. It's totally fine as long as you already have some thoughts in your mind. But it's a totally different situation when you say that, and you need to recall any key components in your framework. It's totally different, and the interviewers will tell. So really, the market interview is very helpful. This time, because in the past, this is my second time to interview Google PM role. I think 2 years or 3 years back, that's my first time. So that back at the time, I practiced more for the first time. This time, because I already have the foundation from PM school, and also in last time I practiced quite a bit. So this time I only trying to get some like 4 to 5 market interviews just to bring my muscle memory back. So I think these two foundations and the practice are the most critical things that really helped me this time.
Nice. And last time, how many mocks did you take? This time
you mean the
said,
mock?
Yeah.
For last time?
Yes.
Last time, I think I tried to do, 15 to 20, around that. Yes. I think last time I tried to do 15 to 20 in like 3 months in a short period of time. Because of time pressure. So I did it. Yeah.
Awesome. I think we are way over time. So I would like to wrap up with this. Thanks for your time and sharing some insightful tips. Hope the audience found it useful. I have recorded. I will share the recording and the insights from this MS session in my monthly newsletter. So, and a huge thank you again, Nick, for your time and like answering all the questions that audience had and I had. Awesome overall, and thanks audience also for listening in, and hope you found it useful.
Pleasure to be here, and always happy to connect.
Oh yes, for sure. If you want to connect with any of us, you can always reach out on LinkedIn. Thanks, Nick, for offering that help.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Bye.
Have a nice day, everyone.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.